All right. Good evening. Good evening. I believe we're live. Have the hardest time telling sometimes, but can you tell if we're live? First of on
I
my
don't.
page,
No, I don't see it on your page unless it's on. Is it on your
it
main
takes a while for.
page?
Yeah, it's on my main page. It all this always happens to me. I don't understand it, but anyway, it says it's live here in the studio. So I'm gonna say good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unmuted Destiny with Jamie Green. Wow, through our literary, but one of the other things that connected us or connects us is our caregiving um, responsibilities. Several years ago, um, I started a group here on Facebook called Loving the Caregiver. And Tanisha was one of the first individuals to join the group. And so, what we had in general was our responsibility as a caregiver, our love for the individual that we were caregiving for, because we were not just caregiving for strangers, but we were caregiving
Mm-hmm.
for a loved one. And that made it even more important, but also challenging. And so um, I see that we have some people watching, so apparently we're live. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it finally popped up on your
All
page.
right, guys, you have to excuse me. You know how I am with the literary, the technology challenging part. But I'm excited to talk with Tanisha tonight because I looked at her blog called "My Life as a Caregiver," and it really dawned on me that this is a conversation that needs, especially this time of year, for those who are. I was a caregiver for both of my parents for several years before they passed, and it absolutely changes your whole life. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest tonight. Tanisha Tate is a caring voice and advocate for those walking the often unseen path of caregiving. A caregiver since 2013, she brings over a decade of lived experience to her debut solo work, Who Cares for the Caregiver, which I was honored to be a contributor to that phenomenal book as well. Tanisha was also a contributing author to the award winning anthology Help I've Turned Into My Mother, where she
Mm-hmm.
shared her heartfelt perspective on womanhood, legacy, and family. Before stepping into the world of writing and consulting, Tanisha spent nearly 3 decades as a dedicated educator. Now retired from public education, she continues to make an impact as the founder and CEO of Scholarly Solutions LLC, an educational counseling firm focused on professional development and instructional support. With deep compassion and honesty, Tanisha uses her journey to empower other caregivers to prioritize their own well being without guilt. Through her writing and work, she hopes to create safe spaces where both educators and caregivers feel seen, supported, and equipped to thrive. Welcome to the platform, Tanisha.
Thank you very much. I'm super excited to be here tonight to talk about this very important topic that I'm really passionate about. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. So I was reading your recent blog on your my life as a caregiver, and I absolutely said we have got to have this conversation. Can you share the
mhm.
heart behind your blog?
So, the blog actually started the blog before I wrote the book. I started the blog back in, I want to say 2019, 2020, right around when the pandemic started. I've been a caregiver since 2013, 2019.
Hmm.
Just kind of as a way during the pandemic to kind of my feelings out to release because it was just myself, my mom, and my sister, and my I'm sorry, and my son here. During that time, needed some kind of way to release. So I wrote a blog, and then I started to get like all these tons of questions about caregiving, like asking resources or a number of friends in the same position that I am in. So I turned it into a book, um, which is Who Cares for the Giver. You can hit Caregiver. You can find it on Amazon. And then I went back, but life happens. So sometimes you um, don't write the blog as much as you want to. So now that the book has come out, I've made it a habit now to make sure that I try to put something on the blog month, just for those people that have not read the book or that need to read the book. And we have so much to do in our caregiving journey, that I wanted to make sure that they had just leave little, even small snippets of things that they could read, advice that they could hopefully get some nuggets from. So that's the reason behind the blog.
Awesome. And I love that because, as you said, oftentimes as caregivers, there was a point in my life where I was caregiving for both of my parents
Hmm.
simultaneously. And there were moments when I just felt like I was going to lose my mind, really. And so having a place to relieve yourself and to release some of your thoughts and feelings is very important. I think that blog is a phenomenal idea. So tell us a little bit about when and why you became a caregiver for your mom.
So in 2013, my mom had a stroke while doing brain surgery. So she was at one of my sister's book signings, and we were getting ready to go out of town. She was going to her favorite pastime, to the casino, and she left the book signing a little bit early. And a guy came running into the book signing saying, "Oh my God, they're passed out in the parking lot." So we all go out, and it was my mom. So we rushed her to the hospital, obviously. She said she was fine and wanted to go on her trip, but we were like, absolutely not. We're to the ER. So she went to the ER. They did all the testing and found that she had brain tumors. She had headaches for years and did not realize, she just take the Tylenol and going about her day. Well, she had to have the brain tumor removed, and removing it because she has high blood pressure, she had a stroke on the table,
Wow.
which took her speech. She has aphasia, and then she's obviously now confined to a wheelchair because her one side of her body is paralyzed. So I've been caring for her for since 2013.
Wow. That's phenomenal because it's like in a second your life changes and
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a whole lot of time to make a decision. You don't have a lot of time to decide what you're going to do. You just have to step up and do what needs to be done. So um, there's a lot of emotional labor that's involved in caregiving that people who are not caregivers or never have been caregivers don't understand. What As a daughter caring for your mom, what emotional challenges did you encounter or do you still encounter that people don't really talk about much?
So there are a lot of emotions that come with caregiving, and then so it's like you're angry at times because your life is on hold. Then you feel guilty because you're angry on hold. Then there is a exhaustion that comes along with being a caregiver. Then there is the stress of trying to figure out how you're going to pay all of your bills and pay all of your mom's bill. Keep in mind, all this is in like the span. This isn't like one day you're guilty and the next day you're exhausted. These are literally feelings that happen even right after the other.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, in my situation, Tanisha, it was a matter of my parents pastored a church here
Mm-hmm.
locally for like 40 years. And some of these people that, claim to love them so much for all of these years, wouldn't come and assist or wouldn't come and help or wouldn't give me a break. So there was a lot of anger and
Mm-hmm.
frustration, a lot of resentment.
And they all got something to say. They all got an
And
opinion.
everybody has an opinion. Like, you should do this, you should do that. No, if you know what should be done, then you should be here doing it.
Absolutely.
And so there is a plethora of emotions that you go through, and they're fine. This is the reason I wanted to address that, is because I've talked with caregivers who say the same exact thing that we've said in the last couple of seconds about our emotions, but they're ashamed of feeling those emotions,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're embarrassed. They feel guilty for even, there have been days I just want to walk out the door and just leave them in horrible, but it's the reality of what I was dealing with. And so I wanted you and I to have this conversation for one reason, to let caregivers know that it's okay to feel what you feel, because
Yes,
if you don't feel it, you won't address it, and you won't,
absolutely. You got to sit in those feelings.
absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about the weight of holiday expectations. I'm sorry, when you're caregiving. Holidays come with their own pressure, right? They come with
Mm-hmm.
their own. Got to get this done. Got to get that done. People expect this. People expect that. But during the holiday season, what does it feel like for you as a caregiver?
So it is 12 times worse as a caregiver during the holidays. So I call myself like, and I know everybody's heard this expression, the sandwich generation. I
Yeah.
have my son that I'm taking care of, but I also have my mom, and
Yes.
then there's me sandwiched in the middle. So my son has a great Christmas, and I'm trying to make sure that my mom has a great Christmas. She has expectations that she wants. She wants to buy everybody and their mama 5,000 gifts from Ross that we can end up taking back. But I have to make sure that her Christmas presents are purchased, my Christmas presents are purchased. Make sure that my son has a great Christmas, on top of all the social events that I am invited to, hosting my own social events, plus still trying to work and just maintain the household is a lot. It's a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are there particular traditions that you've had to modify or pause or let go of completely for the holidays?
So luckily it's just my sister and I, and so we always celebrate Houston. So I've not had to stop that tradition. But like for Thanksgiving, we used to go home to Arkansas to for Thanksgiving in some years.
Hmm.
I've had to cut back on that tradition just because traveling during the holidays is so much,
Yeah.
especially traveling with a wheelchair,
Right,
and
right.
mom has to stop to use the restroom quite often and stretch her her legs will get around to move around. So we try to limit travel
Yeah.
during the Christmas holidays. There are, though, now in Christmas, now that we're talking about that there are some, like, I'm invited to some kind of social event every weekend, but because I have a responsibility here at home and she can't stay by herself for long, um, I have to turn some things down, which
Yeah.
actually may not necessarily be a bad thing, but I just can't go to everything that I'm invited to because I need to make sure that someone is here to take care of her. So just things like that.
Absolutely. What is one major thing? I mean, there's a whole list of things that we could mention, but what is one major thing that you wish people, not just people, but family and friends, really understood about caregiving during the holidays?
I really wish that family understood that, how this tactfully, um, that especially during this time, family and friends need to reach out and see what it is that the caregiver needs. I mean, I know that everybody has things going on. They have their own family that they have to take care of. But there are some wish that friends and family would just call and be like, "Hey, Tanisha, I know you need to get out and go do some Christmas shopping without
Yeah,
your mom. You want me to come over and sit with her for a little while so that you can go do that without me having to call around and try to find to come sit with her."
absolutely. To me, it's like during the holiday season, especially as a caregiver, that whole call me if you need anything mantra really irritated me because you call and call and call and you go down the list of all the people that say call me if you need anything, and you either can't reach them or they're not available. And
Mm-hmm.
so my whole thing is just like what you just said. I used to wonder, why don't people call me and say, I know
What do
you're
you need?
there with your mom and dad day and night, day and night. At the time my sister was living out of state as well, and it was just me there. Why don't you just call and say, I'll come by for a couple hours and give you a break? Like, why do I even have to ask you to do that? But during the holidays is even worse because as pastors, though my mom had Alzheimer's, so she really was, losing touch with what was going on. My dad still had certain expectations of things he wanted done for the church with regard to Christmas, and Thanksgiving as well. And so these things they wanted to keep going, but there were limited hands that could do that. And then you don't want to just leave your mom with just anybody. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because at the same time, people may love her, but everybody can't really take care of her specific or special needs. So that's a whole nother stress that you have to live with. You were at one point raising a son while caring for your mom. Still have your son there, but he's an adult now. That just kind of went
Mm-hmm.
past me. I lost track of all of that because I thought Justin was
He's
still.
a godsend. He is a godsend.
Oh my God, I thought he was just in college. But it's funny when I listened to you earlier mention how he helps you, whatever, because my youngest son, as my mother got worse with the Alzheimer's, he was one of the very few people that could even calm her down or get
Mm-hmm.
her to listen. Like, she just go off, you know how they go off sometimes. And I just would be like, oh my God, Trey, come get your grandmother. And he'd come in the room, he said, Mama, what are you doing? And she would just calm right down. He had that effect on her. While you were raising him, what was the biggest challenge with trying to take care of your mom and Justin at the same time?
So I will say this: Justin has been. I don't know what I would have done many days if it were not for my son. He from 2 to like 8, child, he about drove me crazy, and I wanted to give him back. But something like flipped when he turned like 9 or 10. See, when my mom first got sick,
Mm-hmm.
he just turned into this amazing young man, and he's always been so compassionate. They've always had a very special relationship. He was the first boy grandchild,
Mm-hmm.
so the fact that he was the first grandchild, she had a hand in raising him, and so now the role is
Yeah.
reversed, and he helps raising her. They have a very special relationship. Um, if I have somewhere to go, my mom will be calling me after a couple hours to see where I am, unless she's here with him, and
Okay.
then it's like I don't even exist anyway, so she won't call and harass me if it's him.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, it was very difficult, especially as a single parent. He would come home with homework, and I used to be able to sit down with him and help him with his homework. We would watch movies together. Well, all of that kind of changed, shifted when we both became caregivers. Technically, what we were.
Yeah.
Um, we both became caregivers. So me helping him with his homework got less and less. Luckily, he was a good student and did not necessarily need me to sit with him to do his homework. Um, but I just feel like there was a lot that he wasn't able to do because I had to be here taking care of my mom. And so now I try to make sure that I keep a very good balance of, like, I don't want him to have to put his life on hold. I need him to still go out and be a 23-year-old and not have
Yes.
to be a caregiver constantly.
Absolutely. Have you how do you feel about what do you think that he has learned or that he will carry with him through life watching you be a caregiver? What lessons do you think he has learned that will go with him through the rest of his life?
He has matured so much in the past 10 years. I know that he's learned to be like compassionate, um, understanding. He's very caring, takes his time with his grandmother. And I'm hoping that he will continue to carry those over into like when he's a wife or when he has um, a child that he has to take care of. I'm hoping and praying that he will take those things into that next phase of his life.
Awesome. And I love it because I feel the same way about my son. I've watched him do with my mom and for my mom. So that compassion and that caring definitely,
Mm-hmm.
I even now that he's a parent, I watched him when his children are sick. I watch him be, nurturing and soft and caring with them. And I think that a lot, part of his personality, but it also came with having to watch me be a caregiver and to become a caregiver alongside of me. All right.
Yeah, and I learned a lot of it from my mom as well because she was a caregiver for my grandmother
Got
in her last year. My grandmother lived with us, so I watched her
you.
be a
Yes.
caregiver for her mom too. So a lot of those things I got for her, and I'm hoping to carry on to him.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the loneliness of caregiving. Um, we kind of hit on it a few minutes ago, but I just want to let those who are watching who may be caregivers or know of a caregiver that to really be aware of the fact that though we a lot of times are surrounded by people, maybe in
Mm-hmm.
situations, there's a loneliness that comes with being responsible for another person's life. It was for me. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a saying that says you can be um, alone but not be lonely.
Yeah.
I think that is also true in the reverse.
Yeah.
So, for sure, there have been several moments where I felt the loneliness of like bearing this burden on my own, and I have to, for any caregiver out there, I have to remind myself, alone as I feel sometimes, I am not. I have people that I can and should, and that's hard for us as Black women to let other people know how we're feeling,
Absolutely.
the loneliness may be feeling.
Absolutely.
But you have to do it. You have to let people know. And for me, luckily, I have a very good circle of girlfriends that even if I tell them I'm okay, they know my mannerisms enough to be like, no, you're really not okay. I'm gonna come over and hang out with you, bring a bottle of wine. We're just gonna kind of hang out and have some girl time. So, um, when you are feeling at your lowest and you are feeling alone, don't sit in that too long. I tell anybody to reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody has some kind of at least one support person
Yeah.
that you need to reach out to and talk to them about how you're feeling.
Absolutely. And you may not, and if the thing is, you may not think, it may not be the people that you think it is or
That
that
is
it's going
correct.
to be. And sometimes we're missing support because we're not reaching out to people who genuinely want to support us. Um,
Hmm.
and that's really important that you said that. If caregivers could ask for one thing without feeling guilty, what would you think that one thing would be?
Um, for me, it would be time.
Yeah.
It would be time. Now, I'm the queen of self care. Let me say that first and foremost. I'm gonna find ways to make sure that I take care of myself and of mental health. But it's a job, and I don't want it to be a job. And one way that I know I need self care is I need time to myself, and I
Yeah.
don't want to have to go search for that time. So if I had people that just willingly said, "I need you to go away for an hour. I'm gonna come over,"
Yeah.
um, that is what I need. Is I need time without having to beg for it.
Absolutely. All right. So What stories of reflections in your blog have resonated the most with your readers?
The one that I wrote most recently about the holidays, that
Mhm.
one, a lot of people have reached out to me about that one. And also another one that a lot of people talk to me about is I wrote one recently about my father who passed, grieving
Right.
parent while you're still caring for another. You'd be surprised the number of, guess we're just kind of at that age when we're starting to lose our parents. So
Yes.
there are a lot of my friends, a lot of my sorority sisters that have reached out to me, that they're grieving as well. They may not necessarily be caregivers for another parent, but they may be still obviously caring for, if you are a mom, you are a caregiver, right? You're
Absolutely.
caregiving for your kids. So just dealing with that grief alone, taking care of someone else, is one that a lot of people seem to can relate to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Tanisha, as we're coming to the end of our conversation, my oldest son says to me, one of the things that he said I like about talking to you, and when you talk about your podcast, is that you will ask the hard questions, the difficult questions that sometimes people don't want to ask, but you make people really think about things that are important. So the
Mm-hmm.
hard question that I have for you, Tanisha, is the after caregiving, right? We don't want to think about the day coming when our parents won't be here anymore for us to take care of, but it could happen. In my case, my father passed. Like we knew he was sick, right? But he'd been to the hospital multiple times for the same thing. Um, but then when they called and said he was gone, I was like, "What? Are you kidding me? Have you got the right person?" And it happened to be on my son's birthday, the
Mm.
one that helped me
Wow.
with my mom, his 18th birthday. Um, and then mom passed 3 months and 3 days later. So it's really like they passed at the same time.
Yeah.
So the question I have for you is, what after caregiving is over, do you ever think about what your healing or rebuilding will look like after your caregiving ends?
I have thought about it. I obviously don't want to think about it. I have thought about it.
Right.
Um, and that goes back to like the up and downs of your emotions. So part of me feels like you never know how you're going to feel when your parent passes. And as much as you
Right.
may expect it, you still don't expect it. So I know that
That's right.
that grief journey will definitely take time. Um, and it'll be a hard journey, especially when, she's been so much a
Yeah.
part of me and who I am now.
Absolutely.
So I know that piece will be difficult, but then there's also a piece of me that doesn't quite know how I will I travel more? Will I take more
Right.
time to just be fish and take care of myself? So I kind of battle with going to be too stuck in my grief to now live my life, or
Yeah.
am I going to be in a place where, ooh, I get to live my life now? I just don't know yet how I'm going to feel.
Absolutely. And there's really no way that you can know. But I like to encourage people to at least think about it so that you're not just caught completely off guard when something happens. Because, like I said, my father died and then mom died 3 months later. It's like, what in the world? Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, and I had said, when my parents die, I want to move back to Atlanta. I want to do this. I want to do that. I had all these things in my head,
Mm-hmm.
but then when it actually happened, I was immobilized. Like I, I, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. The grief,
Yeah, because you don't know who you
I
are
don't know who I
anymore.
am anymore because that was my whole identity, right? And you become the parent, and they become the child, and now that they're gone, you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And then there's a certain amount of guilt for me even thinking about what I want to do now. Like, I'm supposed to sit here, according to other people, I'm supposed to like sit here and mourn for the next 10 years, but
Hmm.
hey, whatever. So as we're closing, and I've said that before, but I'm a preacher, and they say that like 3 times. But
Before we actually close.
yeah, they say that like 3 times. What would you tell the caregiver who's listening to you right now, or will listen in the replay, who feels overwhelmed and ashamed of feeling overwhelmed? What is one strong message that you will leave with them?
I actually have two. And they're kind of combined. So
Yes,
the first thing that I would tell any caregiver right now, especially during the holidays, art it doesn't have to be the holidays, is that you need to, however you're feeling, sit in and give yourself grace.
yes,
Give yourself the grace to feel you are feeling. If that means, you have to go sit in your prayer closet. If you don't have no prayer closet, go in the bathroom and close the door. Take some time to be okay with sitting in how you feel, and use your village. Use your village. That's about today. Is reach out to your village, even the ones you don't think are your village. Um, Especially during these holiday times, tap into that.
I love it. I love it. That's great advice. Okay, so um, I want everyone who's listening and those who will listen to replay to please go to Tanisha's blog, because even if you are not a caregiver yourself, every one of us knows somebody who's either been had to be a caregiver or is caregiving now. And like Tanisha said, even if you're a parent, if you're not caregiving for your parent, if you have children, you're still a caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a certain weight that goes along with that. And so we wanted to come tonight to talk to you, to acknowledge that weight, to not pretend that it's not there, to let you know that you're not alone, and to offer you some solutions. And Tanisha has given us some very strong um, responses to things that we can do to help lighten that load as we carry caregive for our loved ones. And I want you to enjoy the holiday, right? It's different now that you're caring for your loved ones, but it doesn't have to be uh, not. You can still enjoy it. You can still have
Yep.
fun, right? You can still look forward to celebrating the holidays. So Tanisha,
Absolutely.
yeah. So we're gonna close out, and I want you to know that I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us tonight, because this is a topic that I've been thinking about for a while now, but I didn't. My sister and I have had conversations about it, but it just really hit me this year for some reason. As you said, I'm finding out that more and more of my colleagues and my friends are becoming caregivers
Mm-hmm.
and becoming, losing a parent. And it's a whole different ball game now, that, whole different era that we're in now. And I thought it was extremely important to have this conversation. And like I said, when I came across your blog, I was like, oh my God, this is the person that I need to have this conversation with. And I thank you for agreeing to sit with me tonight. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you. You can find the blog at whocaresforthecaregiver.org. Not .com,
Who
.org.
cares for the caregiver.org? Make sure you go and check that out.
And
Also, and you can get the
you can
book,
buy the book at the same on Amazon with the same.
book by the same name on Amazon. All right, girl. Thank you so much. Um,
You are welcome. It was a pleasure chatting with you this evening.
I enjoyed it as well. Hopefully, we'll talk again soon. And you have a great holiday. And God willing, I'll see you in the new year.
Absolutely. You
All
too.
right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.